Good Wednesday morning. Pastor George here, bringing you some Wednesday words of wisdom on the World Wide Web from Proverbs chapter 15. There are two verses in Proverbs 15 that talk about a cheerful look on the face. The first one is in verse 13 that says, "A happy heart makes the face cheerful." And then in verse 30, it says, "A cheerful look brings joy to the heart." So obviously, there's a correlation between having joy or cheerfulness in the heart and having it on your face as well. So today I pray that you have some cheerfulness in your heart that is evident on your face. But speaking of cheerfulness, recently my wife was cleaning out some things around the house and she came across some stacks of old sheet music that had been in the family for some time. One in particular that I was looking at put a smile on my face for a variety of reasons. The title of this particular piece is "Leave Me with a Smile." So just looking at the title, I couldn't help but smile a little bit. And then as I looked at the picture on the cover, realizing that this is a piece of sheet music from 1926, the style in that day was obviously quite different than today, and the expression on the woman's face. So that left me with a smile on my face as well. Another thing that made me chuckle a little bit was the price, because this piece of sheet music, when it was new, sold for 35 cents. And just for curiosity, I looked it up online, and there are several places online that are offering this exact piece of sheet music for anywhere from $5 up to $12 and up. So that was kind of interesting. I thought 35 cents, wow. And then on the back, there are some other titles of sheet music, other compositions from this company. And some of those made me chuckle a little bit because one was called Moonlight, and then one was called My Sunny Tennessee. There's one called Dozing, and then there's another one that's called Stolen Kisses. But then there was one that really made me chuckle a little bit more too, and it's called You Made Me Forget How to Cry. You made me forget how to cry. Maybe you're smiling right now a little bit when you hear these old titles. So you made me forget how to cry, and instead the opposite of this one is leave me with a smile. Well, that got me to thinking, what do we leave people with at the end of a conversation, at the end of a phone call, or maybe even perhaps an email, although emails and texts, they're not very personal and not very personable either, by the way, and kind of hard to read the tone of what the person's really saying at times. But when we end a conversation, when we leave somebody, what do we leave them with? Do we leave them with a smile? You know, sometimes the last thing we say can make the difference on how that conversation is ended. One of the things I try and do in ministry, particularly if I'm dealing with people that don't know the Lord, is I try and leave a conversation with them on a spiritual note. I try and make it so that the last thing that they hear from me is something about the Lord. So I'm not manipulative about it or anything, and I'm not legalistic about it, but generally that's what I like to try and do, because the last thing that they hear me say as I leave them, that is often the thing that they will think about the most because it was the most recent thing that they heard. Well, I think the same thing might be true based on Proverbs chapter 15, would be true of how we leave them. Do we leave them with a smile? Do we leave them with a cheerful look that touches their heart? And we certainly recognize that there are some circumstances and conversations that we may not have a smile on our face depending on the nature of that conversation. But the bottom line is this: what's our MO? What's our general way of operating? What's our general way of interacting with people? You know, the Bible makes it clear that a cheerful look on the face touches the heart, and a cheerful attitude in the heart makes a difference on our face. And so, again, I started off by saying, I pray that today you have some cheerfulness in your heart that is evident on your face. But also, I would pray that we would be mindful to be careful of our conversations and our interactions and our dealing with other people. That the joy of Jesus, the cheerfulness that he puts in our hearts and in our lives would be so evident on our faces that we couldn't help but leave others with a smile. This is Pastor George praying you have a joyous, cheerful day. God bless you. And I pray that his word really makes a difference in your life today.